Longtime fans of the show should be familiar with the lender formerly known as Sue Pullen, and I'm pleased to announce that she's back, fresh off a rebrand and ready to help as Sue Mackey. Sue is a certified mortgage advisor at Fairway Independent Mortgage, an equal housing lender who focuses on finding the right product for you and your needs. She has over 20 years of experience helping thousands of homeowners. Whether it's purchasing, refinancing, or even a reverse mortgage, Sue will help. Sue's licensed in 36 states now, so reach out and let Sue Mackey it happen for you. The best way to reach her is just give her a call at 520-977-7904 or in an email, spullen@fairwaymc.com. Fairway Independent Mortgage has an MLS number of 2289. Sue Mackey has an MLS number of 206048. That email again, spullen@fairwaymc.com, and that phone number is 520-977-7904. Shoot Sue an email and let her know she needs to update that address.
You are listening to an entertainment program put together by a company called Financial Ineptitude. Anything said on this show is not an endorsement or professional advice. Would you really want to tell a court of law you were suing us because you thought taking financial advice from two idiots on a podcast put out by Financial Ineptitude was a good idea? Really? Clown hat smiley face.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the China Shop. Joining me today is the posh and purposeful Pauli Walnuts, ES trader and the brains behind Pauli Probes the Markets. If you'd like to learn more about today's guest, make sure you check out his Substack, pauliwalnuts.substack.com, and that's Pauli spelled Pauli, or you can sign up for this new Discord that has recently launched. Pauli, is there still a waiting list to get in on that?
There is, yeah, the waiting list via the Substack.
Via the Substack. Okay, so if they want to sign in there, they can find the links on the Substack?
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect. And then we'll talk more about the Discord when we get into the conversation. Last thing I want to say is if you want to reach out with any suggestions, corrections, questions for future guests, you can do that via email at twobulls@financialineptitude.com, or you can join our free Discord server where a bunch of amazing people gather to share their struggles and lessons learned with other like-minded market aficionados. All those links will be in the episode description, so you can check them out whenever you feel like it. Well, without any further ado, welcome to the China Shop. Pauli, this is, I think, your first podcast, right?
Yeah, that's right, man. I'm nervous. Go easy on me.
Yeah, well, we edit, so don't worry about making mistakes. I'll make you look good.
That's what I needed to
So
hear.
tell me about the name, man. Are you just a big Sopranos fan, or is there something else behind that?
Yeah, no, man, just a big Sopranos fan. Yeah, absolutely love the show. Watched it 3 times. It's funny, man, because, to do this podcast, you told me to buy a microphone. And I'd actually I'd already bought this microphone because a friend of mine were going to do a Sopranos rewatch, and we were going to do it together. And basically, we were just going to record ourselves narrating through each episode and just stick it on YouTube. Anyway, it never happened. I watched it, he didn't, and the microphone just sat and gathered dust. So I'm glad I've got an opportunity to use it now.
Yeah, that's I got lucky with Dan that managed to get a partner in this that had the same commitment levels that I had.
Nice.
I've heard too many other stories about podcasters that people aren't on the same page. One guy doesn't expect it to be, like a business. He wants it just more like a hobby, or even worst case, like you said, the guy doesn't even show up for day one.
Yeah, it's a lot of work as well, though, right? People underestimate that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of editing, a lot of research that goes in, the planning and scheduling, and then just trying to find people that you're willing to talk to that don't get stale. Like you got to keep that same enthusiasm all the time.
Yeah, and then trying to have a good conversation is probably the hardest one, right? Just trying to make sure.
That's actually the easiest. If you have a good selection of guests, which, thankfully the Discord has been so great at suggesting some amazing people, and then just the nature of being a trading podcast, I think we get a lot of people coming out to us. But enough about us. Let's talk about you, man. So how did you get into the markets?
Yeah, man. Funny story. I think a lot of people got into the markets in a very similar way, but basically I was turning 40. And I'm not from like a really privileged background or anything like that. I know you called me posh, but if you're from the UK, you can probably tell I'm not really posh.
Well, I mean,
it's just
I took some liberties with that.
Do you not? If it's British, it sounds posh, but trust me, it's not as posh as it needs to be.
Basically, in America, just the accent makes you posh by default. I think
exactly. I was turning 40, and in the UK, they have this scheme that you can sign up to before you turn 40 for some investment. And I thought, you know what? Let me just have a look at it, and let me try and see what I can do with it. And so I signed up for this investment scheme before I turned 40. This was 2021, so yeah, quite a few years ago, 2020, 2021. Um, and then I tried to like crawl the internet to kind of like find out what the fuck I'm doing, because I thought, shit, okay, so I'm going to put all this money into something. What the fuck am I going to put it into? Let me go and do some fucking research.
Let me see. You said crawl the internet. Are you talking about like an actual bot or just
No, 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 no,
hard?
but
Yeah.
bots. Just me and my mouse crawling
Okay.
together.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, so just by chance, man, I happened to come across this guy on Twitter, and he just seemed to be posting bangers every week. I was like, whoa! I thought I was going to invest, but this trading stuff looks kind of fun. And so that person ended up being the infamous Zach Morris.
Oh
Um,
no.
and I joined the Atlas Discord, and I got in with all of these guys, and I hung around there, kind of like just following people and kind of listening to what they were saying. And there's so many
Mm.
people with this story, aren't there? But yeah, from there, man, my first big trade was AMC. I made an absolute killing on that baby. Um,
Did you actually take profit?
Man, I completely nailed it, man. I completely nailed it. Bought it really low, sold it really high, had no fucking clue what the fuck just happened, and made like over a year's salary in like a week or so. Do you know what I mean? I was just like, what the fuck
Ah,
is going on here? Do you know what I mean?
as much as we all want to be jealous of that, I'm guessing that probably set you back more than it helped you.
It was the worst thing that could have possibly happened to
Yeah.
me, bro.
Right.
Because then I was just in full YOLO mode. Do you know what I mean? It was like, whoa, someone's
Right.
saying this. Let me stick 10,000 in there. Someone's saying that, 20,000 there. And it was just insane. It was just pure insanity.
Oh God, yeah, this sounds so familiar.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, people talk about degeneracy. That was proper degeneracy. Do you know what I mean? That was a moment in my
Oh
life
yeah.
that I'm not very proud of.
We were talking during the pre-recording about AMC and like just that environment where like you could just basically buy any stock and it was going to go up. Like pick your initials and that ticker does well. But you mentioned that should have been like a big red flag for what was going on. And I was looking back and thinking back, like when you're talking about AMC, and I put me back in the mindset of being there myself, and like yeah, like that was like pure euphoria. You want to talk about market cycles?
Yeah, euphoria is right. But it was such a drug, right? So people were literally getting high off the market, and
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
just insane. Really, really terrible for anyone who is coming in and trying to learn something, right?
Yeah, and I think we're seeing that now when the markets
Mm.
started turning in, what was that, 22, 21? Like the people who are still around now are the ones that put in a lot of the actual work
Yeah,
during that
that's right,
time
man.
rather than just going crazy YOLOs.
I remember back in the day, Carl, just listening to some conversation on a podcast of people who were talking about playing all of these small cap craziness like rallies, but they were scalping like 10-20%,
Hmm.
you know. And I was thinking, man, these guys are idiots. Like, how are you walking away with 10 20
Right,
percent,
right.
man? I just made 300%. Do you know what I mean? Um, but lo and behold, if that madness ever comes back, I am Mr. 10%. I actually scalped GNS this morning for a nice 10%.
So you do play other equities? You're not just locked into the ES?
You know what it is? I play very small on small caps at the moment. It's because I love them so much, because I've got such fond memories of all of that madness. Uh, and I still know some really good people who do small caps, but they keep themselves to themselves, so they're not really out there posting stuff. But their posts, their DD is brilliant, and when they see a squeeze set up, they're really good about it. So I still talk to them, and whenever they say something that catches my attention, I'll just spend the evening sometimes having a look at them, look at what's there. And so yeah, GNS and WE were on my radar. And yeah, was able to add positions to both of them in the morning, and then just cashed out on them quick. I'm sure one of them's going to go to something crazy, but I won't be there for
Yeah,
it.
I mean, if you want to have a runner, that's one thing, but at least get paid along the way, right?
Mm.
There's also a little nugget in there that you said that I think a lot of people missed, or like it's the growth that you can hear in your path. You said that your friend will tell you something, but you'll go pull it up and check for yourself.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. No, I'm never taking a call from anyone ever again. And even in my Discord, man, when I tell people stuff, when I tell people like I think it's going to call to this, and then we'll see what happens from there, and the flow will give you a direction. And then an hour later, it does what I said. And people are like, oh my God, Paulie, that was a wicked call. And I'm like, don't you ever tell anyone that I make calls, because that's not what I'm doing
Right.
here. Um, you know, because that shit is dangerous. That shit is dangerous. And anyone who is following calls like that, I mean, you're just on a route to losing a whole lot of money.
I mean, I've been so against calls since we started this thing, and basically, like think of the mentality that goes behind someone looking for calls. In my opinion, I think you're just looking for somebody
Yeah.
else that you can put the blame on if it doesn't work, other than yourself. I think that's the only reason to go for calls. You don't trust your own decision making.
I think you're giving them too much credit. I think they're just lazy, bone-idled, don't want to work hard, and just want a free
I don't know
ride.
about that.
And
Um,
mm,
I mean, maybe there's some of that, but I think the majority of people just don't know what they don't know. They don't know what they need to do to be able to learn how to do it better. And there's just
yeah,
it's
maybe.
so hard to find good information out there. Like when you were going through your journey, where was your turning point? Where was the point where you decided like, hey, I need to actually learn what I'm doing?
Well, firstly, bro, it was losing a shit ton of money.
Oh, okay, we kind of glossed
Um,
over that.
and yeah, so I did, don't get me wrong, I did make money, and that was great. But when the market turned, I didn't have the understanding of the market
Hmm.
in order to really understand what was going on. And so there's me, like an idiot, still playing the YOLO life, when actually the market was just swallowing anyone alive
Right.
who was either going to chase or going to play like any kind of setup where they were trapping you. There were just so many traps as the market began to
Hmm.
turn. Um, and if you go back and you look at the IWM daily for when the market actually fully turned, um, there's a really beautiful shooting star, a bearish shooting star, right at the top. Because what they did is they just rallied the market hard overnight. Everyone woke up in the morning thinking, "Shit, we are bright green. Everything's back." Um, and then the carpet pull of all carpet pulls that I've ever witnessed, like, wow, it was just a complete destruction from there on afterwards,
Hmm.
and the hindsight of it is just 2020, but when you're in it, you're just so emotionally lost that it's crazy. So yeah, losing all that money, um and then kind of like realizing what the fuck was going on with Atlas, and what was going on with the people there, and how toxic that whole culture had become.
How into
um
that were you? You said you were in the Discord, but were you like fully entrenched inside that world, or were you just kind of on the outside, just observing?
I mean, I was in there. I was talking to a few people. Don't get me wrong. There's some really good
Hmm.
people from Atlas. There's Sam, who's on and off at the moment on Twitter, but she was really good. She was one of the moderators there. There's a couple people in Momo who were really good. There were some good guys there, but they were just, I guess, overhauled or overpowered or whatever you want to call it. They were just flooded by the amount of people that were just posting rockets and clown emojis and whatever. That was the culture there. And so um, on the back of that, really, I had these three, four, no, about 12, 14 people that I knew from Atlas, and we had our own little Discord just for our own chats. And so we kind of stuck together and we talked through stuff, but none of us really knew what we were doing.
Hmm.
And so I guess you would just so you described that from going from euphoria, like being in the middle of the club, and everyone's having this great party. Suddenly you find yourself outside the club. The club's been shut down. You're walking home alone, and you don't quite know where you are.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I describe it. And so there was this path of loneliness, really. But that was the best bit for me, because I've got ADHD,
Hmm.
which I only found out about like in the last few years. After you have kids, you kind of find out everything about yourself much more. Um, and so I only found out about that recently. But one thing about my ADHD is, like, I am a fucking difficult person to teach, right?
Okay.
I
Okay.
didn't do great in school until I got to later in life when you could narrow down what you were studying.
Uh-huh.
And I just studied what I fucking loved, right?
Yeah.
And so I absolutely loved the markets, and so I became addicted to it, and that's my ADHD taking over. So literally, from the minute I'd wake up to every single moment that I had to spend looking at charts and looking at the market, I did. I studied, I studied, I studied, and so that period, really, post the euphoria, was probably my most powerful moment of, like, just self-contemplation,
Hmm.
understanding the markets, and really getting a real detailed understanding of what was happening. And through that journey, really, I ended up with futures. Because one thing that really hit me about futures is that what you want to be trading, some people just trade Apple, some people just trade Tesla. Um, but for me, I wanted something that clearly showed respect, and you could understand the push and the pull of the buyers
Hmm.
in the market itself. And for me, there is nothing better than that, than the S&P 500, than ES, which has just been a really excellent learning journey for me. I've really enjoyed it, and actually, I've come along so far as well.
I think it's always impressive when you just take stock of where you were like 6 months ago, a year ago, 3 years ago. Like I'm almost, it's almost a curse having done a podcast for the last 3 years where I can go back and just see how dumb I was, 12 months ago.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
God.
Well, it's a blessing too, though, right?
Yeah, it's like whenever you're feeling discouraged, sometimes that zooming out can really help put you back on the path and just show you how far you've actually come. Like when you're traveling a long distance over a long period of time, some days you just don't realize how far you've actually come.
Yeah, and I think the people who make it, though, Kyle, are the people who have that kind of mentality of like, this is just a journey,
Hmm.
you know? And if you've got that kind of outlook in life generally, you're going to make it in any kind of like industry. Is that actually, can you work hard enough? Can you learn by yourself? Can you force yourself to do the boring stuff, which is read books on technical analysis and watch YouTubes for hours on like value areas and,
Hmm.
and volume profile and shit, right?
All the great stuff.
The most boring shit that you.
What? No, that stuff's awesome. I love that stuff.
Yeah, it is awesome, but that's because probably you're as addicted as I
Yes,
am to the whole
yes,
thing,
yes,
right?
exactly.
But trust me, it's boring. If anyone saw what the fuck you're doing, you'd be like, "Oh shit, this is boring. Some shit. This is some boring shit."
Yeah, nobody else
But we love
cares.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And I watched this Mike Tyson video the other day, and he goes, "Discipline is doing the boring shit, but doing it like you love it." And
Mm.
there are boring things to what we do. The reviewing of your trades each day,
Yeah, the
boring.
journaling.
Um, Yeah, the journaling, boring. Drawing out and mapping levels. For me, I do that every fucking night, and trust
Mhm.
me, it's boring. And there are nights where I have to force myself to do it. But I'm doing it, and actually, it's making a difference.
Where's that Mike Tyson clip? I want to watch that. I love Mike Tyson.
If you go on my Twitter feed, yeah, if you go on my Twitter feed, it's on there. I used that quote and just sent it out in the ether because it's so true. It's so true.
Mike Tyson's one of those guys where I wanted to hate him, or I thought he was just a piece of shit from, the conviction that happened back in the 90s. But the more I follow the guy, the more I see him talk and speak. Like, he's fucking pretty goddamn smart.
Yeah, it's a great example of someone's journey, right?
Yeah.
Because he wasn't
Yeah.
pretty goddamn smart 20, 30 years ago, but
Right.
look at the person he's become.
And listen to how
Uh,
humble he is, and when he reflects on that and talks about who he was. Like,
yeah,
that's the kind of person I hope to be when I turn, 50, 60.
yeah, absolutely, man. And that's just the same thing, he's just got a crazy work ethic,
Mm-hmm.
but also he's constantly willing to grow.
Yeah.
And that right there is a recipe for what a human being should be, you know?
The other thing that he does that I love about him, and the reason why I think I really fell in love with following everything that he puts out there, is that he's willing to step outside of his comfort zone too. Like, how many
Mm.
other boxers are going to put out something called Mike Tyson Mysteries and really lean into like your the persona that everybody else has about you?
Yeah, exactly that. And he's not ashamed to cry. He's not ashamed to get emotional, talk about what he needs to talk about, you know?
He'll make fun of himself if it calls for it, but if you piss him off, he'll
Yeah.
still have that flash of like, oh shit, this guy's about to murder somebody.
Yeah, exactly, man. But he wears his heart on his sleeve,
Yeah.
and there's this great song that's taken off at the moment, isn't it? What's that guy's name? There's a current like working class anthem by Oliver Anthony,
I don't think I've
called
heard that.
Richmond North of Richmond, I think it's called, right?
Rich man, North
Um,
of Rich.
North of Richmond. But what people love about him is just like this guy is just the most authentic person on the microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Just like his heart is on his sleeve and he's just singing his heart out, saying what he feels about the world right now. And it's striking a chord because authenticity strikes a chord.
Yeah, and that's I think one of the issues I've always had with YouTube, and why I've always like gravitated towards the podcasting industry is just it's a lot more authentic, and that's what people want when they turn into a podcast. But it seems like if you go over to YouTube, then it's all about personas and crafting this like fake personality. Like if you want to be successful, yeah,
Yeah, same with some of these furus, right? Same with
yeah,
some of
yeah,
these furus, man, who are posting these crazy gains. I saw an advert the other day, man, for like a summer seminar session where the headline, the strap line across it was "Learn everything you need to know in a day.
yeah,
Pay us 600 quid, and we'll fucking teach you
in a
everything you need
day.
to know in a day." And I
Okay.
just thought, fuck me, that's bad. Fuck me, that's bad.
I know, like that's it's so hard to find. So hard to find somebody that's one trustworthy and two actually going to be honest with you. Like I understand that
Mm,
there's got to be some marketing in there, right? Like you gotta drum up some interest. You gotta have some promises in there. But I mean, to not be upfront with the time commitment and the work ethic that's going to go into like learning how to be successful in this game, I think is just it's doing a
yeah.
disservice to anybody who signs up with you.
Yeah, man, and absolutely. And being successful in this game, man, for me, just means accepting your failures sometimes, you know?
Hmm.
Like, we're all gonna have days where we're like, what the fuck did I just do today? Um,
Yeah, I had
you
one
know,
of those
but
last week or the week before.
but you just gotta swallow it, man. You just gotta swallow it and be like, okay, how am I gonna grow? How am I gonna move forwards?
Yeah, yeah. What I like to say is it's never a loss unless you fail to learn the lesson from it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So just that, yeah. So yeah, man. So I got into futures, and for me, futures really opened my eyes to technical analysis and the way that it works. And there's some great people on Twitter that you
Hmm.
can learn from around futures.
Yeah.
Got myself Sierra charts, got myself in a circle where I was just talking futures all day long with the right people.
Hmm.
And then from there, things really began to settle down. You know, you've got that curve of a learner who has this euphoria, and then everything drops, and then there's this shallowing at the bottom.
Yep.
So in that shallowing at the bottom, really is where I kind of discovered futures and began climbing up in terms of my knowledge and in terms of my trading skill set.
Are there any points during that journey that you look back on and be like, okay, that was a key moment in my personal growth?
Just doing the simple stuff right, man. Just getting, yeah, loads of small things, I would say. There was no eureka moment for me.
Hmm.
Nothing stands out like that. But just small things, Carl, like, bracket orders, you know, risk management, sizing, just small things like that in terms of like execution, entries, managing your position.
Hmm.
Um, those kinds of small things, but then obviously the wider structural stuff around value areas and around order flow and how it influences support and resistance. And there's just so
Yeah.
much out there that you've got to learn.
There's no one moment either that I can look back on, but there's definitely a bunch of little moments like that. Like you go like a week or two, like trying to practice with stuff that you just learned about. Then you have a moment where it clicks, and that moment where it clicks just feels so amazing. And then you push forward and you trying to get to the next moment where everything clicks. It's like a
Yeah,
series of
yeah, yeah,
moments
yeah.
and pit stops almost, right?
Yeah, absolutely that, and that's what a journey is all about for me.
Hmm.
That journey is all about your constant little pit stops and constant little potholes and wrong turns here and there and going back to where you came from and all of that.
Just hoping you don't go backwards too far.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
that, man. But it is what it is. It's every day in this game. It's a couple of steps forwards and a couple of steps backwards. But overall, you just want to be heading in the right direction.
Yep, exactly.
But what happened at the turn of the year that made me decide to write my reviews?
Hmm.
So there was still this absence of a community, post Atlas and Atlas getting shut down. There was no real like central point that everyone knew
Hmm.
that that's where the hub is for trading whatever. And I just thought, I just can't find a place where I go into a futures Discord and people are all there and they're all on my page. And my page is a really open page.
Hmm.
I'm going to tell you what I know. I'm going to tell you what I don't know. I'm going to tell you what I agree with. I'm going to tell you what I disagree with. It's not to say you're right or wrong. I just do shit my way. You do shit your way. As long as we're consistent and profitable in the long run, that's fine.
You just want honesty.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
And yeah, unfortunately, so after that period of loneliness, I went out exploring, trying to find the right kind of place for me, and I just didn't find it.
Hmm.
I found a bunch of discords with what must have been kids just trying to YOLO everything. And
Yeah.
even though they thought that they were futures traders, they were on like Apex account 67, and
Right.
just digging themselves a hole every day. and just not learning and just refusing to reflect and think. And then some discords were just like really toxic, where there was maybe like two good traders and the rest of them are all just like disciples, just like a Furu has their disciples. um they would just like defend this person or his technique to the
Right, right.
to the nth degree. And if you came and tried to do something different, if you came and you used EMA clouds and they weren't into EMA clouds, they'd be laughing at you. If you tried to pull up a chart with levels on it and they don't do levels, it's like, oh my god, look at your levels. um and it was just dumb shit. And I was like, wow, I don't need this shit in my life, like trading's hard enough. Why are you guys a bunch of dicks? Like, I'm just gonna fucking leave.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, so from that, really, I just thought, fuck it. You know what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna have a presence on Twitter and see if I can find the good people who come to me rather
Hmm.
than trying to put myself out there. So yeah, so I just started posting my end of day reviews that I was kind of writing for myself.
Yeah.
Um, and literally from the get go, man, literally almost like, I started on January the 4th or January the 3rd, whichever one was the first day of the trading year.
Hmm.
And literally just started writing it. And on the first day, I think I got like 10 followers, and I was like, oh shit, like, people want to know,
Yeah.
people want to discuss. And then after like the first week, I was getting such a good following that people were asking me if I've got a blog or anything. So I thought, all right, let me go and start a blog then. So then I started the Substack, and I wrote my first like special episode, I call them, which is like educational episodes. I wrote my first one, and it got like 1,000 reads over the weekend.
Damn.
And I was just like, shit, like this is what people are actually asking me to do now. It's like, Paulie, when's the
Yeah.
next episode? Paulie, when's the next review? Paulie, when's the next levels? And I felt a responsibility then.
Hmm.
And that was great. And then from there, literally, it's grown, man. So, this weekend I just clocked 4,000 followers on Twitter, which is just amazing in 7 months of having written my reviews. I've got about I think it's like between 1,700 people signed up to the blog. And then I as you mentioned, I opened a Discord just under a month ago now.
And that's free too, right?
Yeah, it's all free, man. None of my shit is for anything other than getting a group of people together who just want the same thing. That's my mission.
So then why do it then? Like, what's the why put all the effort into that for no payback? Or what is your payback? There's got to be something that you get out of it.
Yeah, community, bro.
Yeah,
So like I
okay.
said, man, I was stuck outside the club all on my Jack Jones, walking these streets, just finding a bunch of dicks, and I just thought to myself, this can't be it. And so I just use that mentality of, if you build, they will come.
Yeah.
And so I thought, there must be good people out there who are willing to share. There must be successful people out there who are willing to show. And there must be people who are willing to work. And I just
Hmm.
need to get all of them into the same place. And yeah, that was the thinking behind my work. And then I did a survey of my blog readers, and I just said, what's next? Like, what would you guys want? Do you want a YouTube? Do you want a Discord? Do you want to? I can't remember what else I said, but I put everything out there.
Hmm.
And the most popular things that came back were actually YouTube and Discord. And I thought to myself, man, I ain't got time to be making YouTube videos and editing them and
Oh
doing all
God, I
that shit.
know.
That's a real ball ache. And so I just decided to make a Discord. And the thing is, with me, with my ADHD, bro, like, I'm not just going to make a fucking Discord. I am going to plan it out and think about it to the nth degree.
You showed me the behind the scenes look before you open it up, and were showing me how you were putting that together. And I really want to pick your brain one of these days on like how you learned Python, and like where I can go to like start to learn how to code that. I have a little bit of coding background, but it's been like since high school, which was 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I'd be more than happy to show you. If anyone's interested, I would just recommend Khan Academy, which
What
is
was it?
like an online Khan Academy. It's called. I think it's KHAN or KAHN.
Oh, Khan like Genghis.
Yeah. And literally, you can go on there and you can do online lessons and tutorials and just learn everything.
Oh, that's awesome.
From Python. Yeah. So I've been coding since I was 17. And I've always worked in that industry.
Hmm.
So my coding skills are very good. And so, it was just a matter of adapting what I knew
Mm-hmm.
to a new industry rather than, having to learn anything from scratch.
Longtime fans of the show should be familiar with the lender formerly known as Sue Pullen, and I'm pleased to announce that she's back, fresh off a rebrand and ready to help as Sue Mackey. Sue is a certified mortgage advisor at Fairway Independent Mortgage, an equal housing lender who focuses on finding the right product for you and your needs. She has over 20 years of experience helping thousands of homeowners. Whether it's purchasing, refinancing, or even a reverse mortgage, Sue will help. Sue's licensed in 36 states now, so reach out and let Sue Mackey it happen for you. The best way to reach her is just give her a call at 520-977-7904 or in an email, spullen@fairwaymc.com. Fairway Independent Mortgage has an MLS number of 2289. Sue Mackey has an MLS number of 206048. That email again, spullen@fairwaymc.com, and that phone number is 520-977-7904. Shoot Sue an email and let her know she needs to update that address.
So then I opened up the Discord, and in the first 2 days, I had 700 people sign up, and I was just like, "Whoa, I need to close the doors."
Yeah, because you'd planned on doing them in like groups, like grouping them by like 100 people and letting them kind of like grow and come up together and progress and doing it in waves like that. But I think you've had to change that approach since you've had so many.
Yeah, so I wanted to do something different with the Discord, which was I was trying to think about why these Discords have all got so toxic,
Mm-hmm.
and why Atlas got the way that it was, and essentially it just outgrew itself
Mm.
and got to a point where actually you couldn't maintain anything like that.
There's just too many people.
Just too many people, too many personalities, too many degenerates, too many furus, everything, right? It's just too much of everything, man.
Right.
And you just get washed away in the waves of like people constantly joining. And so I thought to myself that I'm going to set up a Discord where I have clubs essentially. If you belong to a club, that's your community. Your club has their own channels. They can add and remove their own channels. They can add shit. They can remove shit. They can basically run it like it's their own Discord server.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just them together, a few hundred
Yep.
people just knocking it out together and learning. And I thought I'm just gonna do it like that. And so I ranked all of my my blog readers, because Substack helpfully kind of like ranks them for you. So it gives you like your 5-star readers, the ones who click on your stuff every day,
Oh, okay,
all
okay.
the way down to your 1-star readers who every now and then click on something if it's like, something that piques their interest.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I basically just ranked them all, and then I split each rank in half. So I put half of them into Club 1, half of them into Club 2. So although they're in the same Discord, they actually never see each other. They just live in their own community.
Right.
And so my intention, and when you're doing something like this, especially because there's nothing like that out there at the moment, you don't really know how many people to let in,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, what's a good group size? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought to myself, maybe 250 in each group. And then obviously the numbers kept going up and up in terms of who was signing up. So then I ended up having about 350 in each group. But what became very clear to me is just like my blog, and when you've got like a YouTube or a blog or even a podcast, you might have 100 subscribers, but out of those 100 subscribers, about 40% of them, about 40 to 50 of them are actually going to read it, watch it, look at it.
Yeah. You've got your super fans and you have your casual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly that. And the rest of them are just subscribed because they're subscribed, whatever.
Right.
And so I didn't know how many people I was going to have who were going to be active.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, what's become clear to me is actually the right size for the club itself was probably just merging the two groups rather than having two groups of 350, because there were so many lurkers and so many people who aren't confident enough to share or say, and so many people who just want to sit there and learn, that actually you end up getting about, out of 350, you probably end up with about 10, 15 people in each group who are constantly active.
Yeah.
And 10, 15 isn't really enough, because that then it becomes cultish a little bit.
I'm almost curious if having a much smaller group, like if people would be more willing to speak out. Like, it's hard to jump up and speak in front of 600, 700 people, but maybe if there's only 20, they'd be more likely to voice something.
Yeah, but they've got to be 20 active people, right? Because
Yeah.
otherwise you'll just get one or two people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so yeah, so in the Discord we've got some really good people, some people who have really got some high level understanding of markets, high level understanding of Sierra charts, of order flow. We've got a guy who's an ex market maker. We've got another kid who's written some algos that are banking him 100 points. Um, got another guy who's just an absolute wizard with Sierra charts, and you show him something and he can make it out the box for you.
Yeah.
And all of those people that I've mentioned are all people who are willing to talk, share, help. And so the amazing thing has been, like, we've been doing these kind of like fortnightly video sessions
Hmm.
with some of the best traders in the Discord, so that they can just share their insights in terms of what they see during the day, what their chart setups are like, what they're looking for. And that's been brilliant. It's been really, really informative for everyone. And so we've had like 50 people on a Saturday in our video session, and then they're all recorded, and then we share them afterwards. And it's just been really powerful.
Kind of sounds to me like you said you went through your lonely period at the beginning, like after the initial euphoria. But is that during that time? Is that when you like figured out like how important that community really is?
Yeah, I think so. I think we all need community.
Yeah.
If you're out there struggling through whatever, you need family and you need community in any kind of walk of life, I
Yeah,
think.
but you need a community where you can share those struggles and not get shit on.
Yeah, exactly that,
Yeah.
bro. And so you need a place that's kind of like I don't know if you ever seen Cheers,
Oh yeah.
like an old school program
I
where
think we're
everyone's
about the same
talking.
age.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, where everybody knows your name
Yeah.
and they're always glad you came. They were the words in it at the start of that song. But it's kind of the vibe that you want, man. I just want
Yeah.
I just want a place where actually people aren't dicks, and just because you're successful doesn't mean you shit on everyone else.
I think that's the only rule in our Discord is to not be a dick.
Yeah, don't be a dick, man. And it's surprising how many people struggle with that one rule, bro.
No kidding. It's like the once you get a little bit of anonymity and combine that with the internet, and people lose their fucking minds.
Yeah, exactly, man. So I just don't do politics, and so where people, like, this morning someone was posting in pre-market, watch this sell off today. Today's going to be total shit show. It's going to be so red. And I just go to him, bro, what you're posting isn't really helpful.
Yeah.
Either you post so I can see why it's going to possibly sell off today because X, Y, and Z,
Yeah.
or you just shut up and you appreciate what everyone else is posting, which is a proper narrative around what they see,
Yeah.
um, but not just bullshit YOLO calls.
Yeah. Was there anything more with the Zach Morris interactions that how shocked were you when you found out that he was involved in that pump and dump scheme and the other guys that were in that ring?
Man, by then, bro, you know what I was shocked at more than anything, man? I was shocked that they actually got pulled up on it.
Really?
Um, yeah, because, and I think you know this as well, Carl, is that ultimately markets are manipulated places,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, and the manipulation happens all the time, and whether that's like the simplest technical kind of manipulation, which is someone spoofing the bid or spoofing the ask,
Mm-hmm.
right,
Yep.
which happens daily,
All the time.
all the fucking time, and it's
Yeah.
illegal, but
Mm-hmm.
it's fucking happening. And so for me, I just accepted their attitude and kind of lifestyle as a given. Like, this is just what a certain portion of these guys are like.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd already unfollowed them when all of that shit went down.
Right. Okay.
And I'd already kind of like turned my back and turned a corner in terms of that. But when it all went down, I mean, I was like everybody else, man. I was like, whoa, this is fucking huge. This is big. But also, they haven't been found guilty of anything right now. They're still all on trial.
They are, but I've read the email exchanges. I mean, it looks
Oh yeah, no,
pretty.
so have I. Yeah, 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 so have
it's
I.
it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, but then how much of their money are they actually going to lose? Like, if you made
Yeah,
32
I
million
know.
and somebody takes 7 million away from you. And so I try not to get too engrossed in it, really, because just like it wasn't healthy following them then, it's still not healthy following them now.
Yeah,
I don't gain anything from it.
that's an excellent attitude. It's like the whole idea of like, why get involved in like arguments on Twitter? Like, what's the point? Like, who's that? Like, you're just addicted to being angry. I think at that point.
Yeah, exactly that, exactly that. And don't get me wrong, I have my moments on Twitter where I'll call someone
Oh, I'm
out.
sure we all do.
it's only because they've tried to shit on me a few times. I'm like, all right, fuck this. If this was real life, I would have told you what's up right now. So let me just let me just say it over the net anyway.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
you know, so yeah. But people are people, man. You're gonna come across all that kind of shit in any walk of life, and you just kind of gotta take it as it is and just carry on.
One thing that I did want to ask you about. I mean, I've seen your levels. I've looked through them. I don't really know how you come up with them. That was something I was always curious. Like, how do you actually come up with the resistances and supports? Are you using a combination of volume profile and some other things, or like, what's your go-to?
Yeah, a bit of everything, to be honest with you. So, like I said to you, like when I went into a certain Discord and those guys were only using value areas,
Hmm.
yeah, and I went into another Discord and those guys were only using market profile, whatever.
It's like a world of a bunch of like cults almost.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
so for me, bro, I've just scraped the best of the best that I think works for me. And I've bundled it all together and I call them the walnut levels. But some of these levels are just value areas. Some of these levels are just support and resistance. Some of these levels are significant areas of order flow interest.
Hmm.
Some of these levels are just like off the daily candle. And I do annotate them to explain, some of them are high
Yeah.
value nodes and low value nodes. Like I do annotate them to kind of explain. And one thing I haven't done, and people have asked me for it, is I'll make a YouTube and just show exactly how you're doing it. And I thought to myself, like, bro, I spend 2 hours a fucking day writing a review. And all you need to do is read my fucking review and you will figure out what I'm doing because it's not no secret sauce here. Do you know what I mean?
Right, right, right.
But what I'm not going to do is just spoon feed your ass constantly because you've got to have some sort of drive here. You've got
Yeah.
to go and do something. And so that's been a bit of a thing. So there's actually like 3, 4 episodes where I noticed price and order flow behaving in a certain way.
Hmm.
And it caught my attention. And so in those episodes, I actually create a new level and I
Okay.
break down how. So it's all there for those who are willing to look and those who are willing to work, right?
Like you said, you got to have some initiative.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm very fortunate that they're working so well and that people are putting them on their charts and they're working for them too. Today's been a great example of that actually. But yeah,
Well, I mean, for me, like the coming up with levels has always been that's been the thing that a lot of people I think can do fairly well is come up with some spots where looking for trades here is a good idea. I think the thing that
mm,
most people struggle with though is how you actually trade those levels.
yeah. How do you not get shaken out of them, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Or when do you know to use this as a support, or when do you use it as a resistance for the break and retest? Like, do you
yeah.
ever talk about that in your work, like how you actually
Yeah,
trade it?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I've got an episode called The Art of Execution. And I've got like 3 chapters where I talk about like the walnut guide, I think I call it, which is like how the best way of entering and exiting a trade. But all of it comes down to patience and order flow.
Hmm.
And you're not going to be right all the time. And so then it comes down to risk management because you want to be right 50% of the time and still be green at the end of the day
Right.
you know
Right.
and you can only do that if you've got the right risk management sizing and all of that kind of stuff in place.
Yeah.
So all of that stuff, Kyle, I actually teach through my educational episodes, which come out once a week. Well, they did come out once a week until the fucking Discord took over my life. I do, I do want to get back onto those educational episodes. But yeah, in the educational episodes, I teach footprints and how they work. I teach support and resistance and what it means. I teach order flow. I talk about position sizing and bracket orders and being a sniper and not a machine gun in terms of how you approach the market.
Right.
Yeah, all of that kind of stuff is in my educational episodes, and that was because there all of that was missing from my reviews. I can
Yeah.
say, oh
Yeah.
yeah, this was a great setup and blah blah blah, but it's a fucking hindsight thing unless I can explain why, right? Unless you can see it coming the next time it happens.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so I try to do that through the blog as well, through the educational episodes, the special episodes I call them. And so there's loads of those, and they're actually probably the most popular reads.
Yeah, I think they should be.
Yeah, so my daily stuff gets about 600, 700 people reading it, which is about half of my followers, half of my subscribers. But when I do a special episode, that will probably get about 60, 70% of people reading it.
Yeah.
and which is amazing, like over 1,000 people fucking just reading shit that I put out into the ether.
Isn't that crazy to think about
Yeah,
that? Yeah.
it's wonderful. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And actually, what I've done is create a community for these people when they didn't have one before.
Hmm.
And don't get me wrong, there are some really good discords that I'm in. There are some people who have created an environment that is really good. SPX0DTE J, he's a great guy, and he's got a really good community with some good people in it. And there's others too. So it's not that there is nothing but mine. It's
Uh-huh.
not that.
I don't hear our name.
Yeah. Same thing with you guys. But no, actually, it was a guy called Purdue who put me through to you guys.
Purdue? Yeah.
Yeah,
Purdue's been
so he
great.
put me through to you guys, and actually, yeah, your environment's the same, right? It's just like everyone's there for a reason. Everyone's trying to help each other out
Yep.
and just sharing stuff, and nobody's there saying, "Oh my God, this is what's going to happen next."
I think Mike's probably the best trader in our room, and like the environment that we have. Yeah, it's not a cult of Mike. It's everybody trying to get better. Mike will pop in and give some pointers and help when people need it. But
Yeah,
it's definitely we've tried to craft that open environment where people can honestly share their experiences, and hopefully everyone can take something from those too.
yeah, and that's all you really can do, right? That's
Yeah.
all you can really put out there.
Yeah, if you can create that and at least get people comfortable, then at least they may have a better chance of, success.
Yeah. So just having a Discord where there's 1,000 people nearly in there, they're all
Hmm.
trading futures, they're all using the walnut levels, they're all footprint guys and order flow guys, and if they're not, they're learning to become those. Because for me, that's the kind of formula towards it. And I still see Furus now who are trading, and they just have a footprint chart.
Yeah,
Sorry, not a footprint chart. They just have a candlestick chart,
right.
and that's all they're ever posting is just their candlestick charts and support and resistance. And I'm like, man, how are you still surviving? Because there is just so much more that you have to learn beyond that.
Yeah,
But a lot of the small cap guys, like literally all they do is candlesticks.
really. Well, I
Mm.
mean, I guess that's basically structural trading, right? But just candlesticks?
Yeah, it'll get you to a point.
I feel so naked with that. Just that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could never go back to just having that. It's why I can't trade from my phone anymore.
That might actually be a fun experiment just to see if sometimes, because I do go through phases where like I'll learn a bunch of stuff, my charts will start to get cluttered, and then I'll have to go and like reset, pare everything back out. What's the most important things? Okay, here's the three things I really actually want, and then start again.
Yeah,
I got to do that
yeah.
about every 3 months, it seems like.
Yeah. But that's part of the continual growth,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Something that I'm using now, I might not be using in 3 months' time.
right. Or something better may come along, or
Exactly.
that
But you
might get
just have to
improved.
keep your mind open to that. And
Yes.
that's, I think, one of the biggest challenges in this game.
Yeah. Like you said, you got to take what works for you from all the different opportunities out there, the different ideas. Like if it doesn't work for you, then don't use it. But you know
Yeah,
what? It may work for
exactly that.
somebody else. So don't shit on them because they see things better with volume profile than you do with TPO.
Yeah, exactly that, man. Exactly that. So people have asked me, oh, are you going to turn this into, are you going to monetize this kind of like following that you're getting? Or,
I've heard a lot of people asking that question. We'll go ahead and
yeah.
ask you that. What is your plans?
So the answer is no, I don't intend to monetize what I'm doing at all. The Discord is free, will be free, although entry to it will be limited to people who can actually read a blog. And
I think that's fair.
yeah. And so I won't be monetizing the blog. I won't be monetizing the Discord. And those bots and the services that I'm subscribed to as a result of the bots do cost me money.
Hmm.
And so I've got a little page where people can donate. They can buy me a coffee, give me $5 here and there, and that's fine. Like ultimately, I'm just doing it because I'm trying to create a community that I couldn't find myself.
Yeah, this
And
is
that's
benefiting you just as much as everybody else.
yeah, exactly. And so in that way, it's a selfish endeavor because actually, I gain hugely from having these people in the same room,
Oh
in the
my
same
God, yeah.
space.
This podcast is the same thing for me. This is completely selfish. I get to talk to
Yeah,
amazing traders every week. Are you kidding me?
yeah,
Yeah, sign me up.
yeah. Why wouldn't you, right? Why
Yeah.
wouldn't you? So yeah, so I've got no intentions of doing that. And should the day come where I can convince my wife that going full time is a great idea, and I do go full time with what I'm doing, then if I've got the opportunity to mentor people who are new,
Hmm.
then I might actually professionally in my own industry, my day job, so to speak, that I do. I do coach and mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I'm a very good coach and mentor and help people kind of like discover new elements about them and about what they're trying to achieve. And so, there might come a day where I think actually I've got the time now and I've got the experience and the expertise and all of the profits to actually say I am going to mentor someone.
Well, we've got a few more minutes. I'd like to ask you just a couple questions about that since you're in the industry. Like, what are some things that you should look for when you're trying to find a mentor?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a really good question because it's not that easy to answer. There's
Uh
no,
huh.
there's no, there's no one thing. So what is a good mentor? It's a good mentor, Kyle, doesn't even need to be experienced in the industry that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what really hit me when I began to kind of like dive into mentoring, is that a good mentor is just able to break apart the complexities of the world and help you see them.
Mm-hmm.
And in some ways that's therapeutic, but mentoring isn't therapeutic necessarily. But I think I would, yeah, I think I'll say this, that a good mentor can ask you some of the best questions that you haven't even asked yourself.
Oh, wow. Well said. I like that answer.
And I think that is key. They help you unlock parts of your mind that you didn't even quite realize, were a little bit locked up.
I like that. I like that a lot. All right. Anything else as far as stuff you got going on in the future that you want to mention before we wrap up here?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the Discord's really busy and is keeping me very busy, but I do hope to start letting more people in. We've got over 100 people now on the waiting list for it. But if I'm saying that each club is going to be about 700 to 1,000 people, then it will take a while.
Mm-hmm.
And people just have to be patient. What I might start doing is allowing the waiting list people to access the videos that we've been doing. And so, if you're interested, sign up to the blog, get onto the waiting list. The link is on my posts every day. And then you'll go into a waiting room inside the Discord itself. And what I'm probably going to do is allow them to access some of the educational material in that waiting room. But they've also got access to me and they can DM me, and some of them do, which is totally fine as well. I try and make myself available for everyone as much as possible.
Well, Polly, I appreciate everything you're doing with this, with the stuff that you're putting out there. I'm gonna have to start digging in a lot deeper into your newsletter because I think there's a lot of stuff in there that I think I'd really enjoy reading. I didn't realize you were doing that much educational stuff on there. I'll have to go take another second look at it. Um, Last thing I'd ask you then, is there anything that you want to leave with a new and aspiring trader? Like any words of wisdom, anything, any resources they should check out, anything that you think that anybody could benefit from
Yeah,
learning
so
more?
so I describe that as pyramids of learning, where each I don't know if you know Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where he talks about like what a human being needs, and at the base level it's food and water, and then it's clothes, and then it's so on and so on and so on, right? It's like a pyramid.
I think I've seen that before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so for me, the pyramid for the trading journey starts with really the basics of candlesticks, support and resistance, right?
Hmm.
And then from there you're going to move on, and you're probably going to look at volume profile, and then go on to value areas. And market auction theory probably comes after that, because market auction theory kind of helps you make sense of all of the things that you've already just learned, but puts it in a human
Yep.
kind of context of actually what is happening in the auction. Why is this support? Why is this resistance? Why does the volume profile show this? And so yeah, I think in that order. And once you get to auction theory, it kind of opens your eyes to the next chapter. And there's loads that you can go on to afterwards. Really,
Yeah.
those 3-4 things that I've mentioned are definitely the first few steps that anyone needs to take for me.
I love it, Polly. But unfortunately, I think we've come to the end of our time. Hopefully, your trade worked out well for you.
Yeah, man, I got an open trade, bro. I can't believe it. I've not looked halfway through. Halfway through, I was like, let me just quickly check, and I was like, no, fuck it. I'm not gonna look. I'm not gonna look. I'm gonna go back and look now.
Oh, all right. Well, that may be the end of our time with Polly, but don't worry because there's still tons more to see. You want to follow him on Twitter at Polly Walnut, or you can sign up for his daily ES analysis and also the waiting list for the Discord and all the educational stuff that he does. That's over at polywalnuts.substack. Again, that's Pauli, Pauli, If you enjoyed today's conversation, please check out our guest directory. As you can see all the other amazing traders that we've had the pleasure of speaking with. All those links will be in the episode description. We'll be back soon with another exciting episode, but until then, share this with your friends like an IT guy who found out his best friend may have PMS, and take care. Sorry, I had to change that one on the fly and do an IT crowd reference. Hopefully you recognize that one.
Very good, very good.
Two Bulls in a China Shop is an entertainment program, and all thoughts and opinions expressed in the show belong to the hosts and not of any company. They are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide entertainment about stocks and the financial industry of trading. If you make trades based on what you hear in this show, you assume all risks for those trades.